Hello, and welcome back. Come in, out of the rain and the deepening dark and everything the day asked of you before tonight. Tonight, we are going somewhere small and quiet and entirely your own. A single dark cabin deep in the hills, lit only by lantern and candlelight, where you are tonight, wonderfully, restfully alone. You do not need to remember anything. You do not need to follow anything closely. You only need to breathe in and out, in and out. Rest is not something you earn, it's already yours. Let's begin. A narrow dirt track leads away from the last paved road, climbing gently through a stretch of old, wide-spaced trees, the light fading fast now, the sky above heavy with rain not yet fallen. Softly, imagine you are walking it now, unhurried, your own footsteps the only sound besides the wind moving through the branches overhead. There is no one else on this track tonight, no other footsteps, no distant voices, no lights but the last grey traces of the sky itself, and that is exactly as you wanted it to be. You chose this particular evening, this particular solitude deliberately. A whole night with no one to answer to, nothing to explain, nowhere you're expected to be except exactly here, exactly now, exactly as you are. Thunder rolls once, far off, low and rolling, more a suggestion of sound than anything sharp or immediate. Softly, the dark is settling in properly now, the last edges of grey light finally giving way to a deep, soft blue, then to something closer to true dark, though your eyes, unhurried, are already adjusting, finding shapes and edges you couldn't have picked out a few minutes ago. There is a particular quality to this kind of dark, not the frightening dark of somewhere unfamiliar, but the settled, complete dark of a place that has simply finished its day and is easing into its night, the way it always does, the way it always will, whether or not anyone is there to notice, whether or not anyone ever has been. Softly, the wind moves gently through the wide-spaced branches overhead, carrying with it the rich, particular smell of damp earth and old bark, the first scattered drops of rain finding their way down through the canopy to land softly on the path ahead of you. Somewhere off in the trees, a night bird calls once, low and unhurried, before falling quiet again, entirely unbothered by the coming storm, tucking itself into whatever shelter it has long since learned to trust completely. You know this track well enough by now to walk it almost without thinking, your feet finding the familiar rises and dips of the packed earth, even as the light continues fading around you. There is a comfort in that kind of familiarity, a path walked often enough that the dark no longer troubles it at all, simply because you've long since learned exactly where it leads. Ahead, through the last of the trees, a small square window glows faintly, not electric light, but the warmer, softer flicker of a lantern, waiting exactly where you left it that morning, patient and steady, despite hours alone in the empty cabin. Softly, you are almost there. Thoughtful, the cabin door is simple and solid, unlocked, because there has never once been a reason to lock it out here. It opens easily under your hand, swinging inward into a room lit only by the lantern you left burning low on the table and the last faint embers of a fire you banked carefully before leaving that morning, exactly as you always do. You step inside and close the door behind you, and the cabin's particular quiet settles around you immediately, Not silence exactly, since the rain has begun now, tapping softly against the roof, but the deeper, more complete quiet of a space with no one in it but you, entirely, comfortably, for as long as you'd like. The familiar smell of the place greets you too, old wood and the faint, lingering trace of wood smoke from countless fires before this one, and something else, harder to name, that you've simply come to think of as the smell of this particular solitude, found nowhere else quite the same way. You are inside now, you are safe, you are warm, and you are, tonight, wonderfully alone. You've been carrying a lot lately, haven't you? Tonight, you don't have to carry any of it. Tonight, you can let go now. There's nothing left to hold. Warmly, you cross to the small stone hearth and kneel to build the fire back up, adding kindling first, then a larger log, watching the flame catch and grow steadily brighter, filling the small room with warm, moving light that dances across the walls in slow, unhurried shapes. You know this particular fire's habits well by now. Which corner of the hearth draws best, exactly how much kindling it needs before it will accept a larger log without complaint, the particular soft crackle it makes once it's truly caught and settled into steady burning. There is a quiet satisfaction in a task performed so many times it no longer requires thought, only the simple, practiced motion of hands that know exactly what they are doing. The smell of wood smoke fills the small room slowly, mixing with the damp, earthy smell you carried in with you from the trail outside. It is, by now, simply the smell of this particular kind of evening, solitary, unhurried, entirely free of anyone else's preferences or needs. The cabin is one simple room, a bed along the far wall, a small table and single chair near the window, a few shelves holding exactly what you need and nothing more. There is no clutter here, no excess, only the particular deliberate simplicity of a space built for one person's complete comfort and no one else's opinion of it. On the smallest shelf, a modest collection has gathered over your years of visits, a well-worn deck of cards you sometimes play solitaire with by firelight, a small notebook you write in occasionally, though never with any particular obligation to finish a thought, a single mug you've claimed as entirely your own, chipped slightly at the handle in a way that only makes it more comfortably familiar. None of it matters much to anyone else. None of it needs to. These are simply the small, quiet markers of a life you live differently out here. Slower, simpler, entirely uninterested in impressing anyone, including yourself. You fill a small kettle and set it on the fire's edge to warm, then settle into the single chair, letting your body finally release the tension of the walk, the day, the whole week behind it. There is no one here to ask how you're doing, no one here needing anything from you at all, just you and the fire and the rain beginning its steady patter against the roof, exactly the way you'd hoped this evening would unfold. Time. Thunder rolls again, a little closer now, rolling long and low across the hills outside, muffled by distance and by the thick trees surrounding the cabin on every side. Even alone, even in the dark, this sound has nothing threatening in it at all. Simply the sky doing what skies do, entirely unconcerned with anything except its own slow, ancient rhythm, patient and enormous, and utterly indifferent to whether anyone below is listening. You've done enough today, more than enough. Rest is not something you earn, it's already yours. This cabin has been yours in one way or another for several years now, found, not built, tucked into these hills by someone else entirely, decades ago, and simply waiting patiently for someone who needed exactly this kind of solitude to find their way to it eventually. You remember the first time you found it clearly, stumbling across the narrow track almost by accident, drawn by nothing more than curiosity and a general unnamed need to be somewhere entirely away from everyone and everything for a while. The cabin was empty then, too, as it always is, waiting the way it always waits for whoever next needs it. That first night, you almost turned back before reaching the door, some old instinct telling you an empty cabin, alone, in the dark, should probably feel more unsettling than it did. But it never did, not once, not even that very first uncertain evening. Something about the place simply welcomed you in, the way a good, worn armchair welcomes you back regardless of how long you've been away, no questions asked. You've come back many times since, always alone, always by choice, and each time the particular quiet of this place does the same slow, steady work on you, softening whatever noise and pressure the outside world had built up in you, until by the second or third evening you could barely remember what you'd been so tightly wound about in the first place. You never learned much about who built it or why they eventually stopped coming. A few old tools left behind, a shelf of books too weathered now to read, a single faded photograph tucked into a drawer of someone you'll never know the story of. You've never felt the need to ask more than that. Some places, you've learned, don't require a full history to feel entirely safely yours for as long as you need them. Over the years, you've made a few small changes of your own, a chair repositioned to catch the morning light just right, a particular shelf cleared for exactly the books you like to bring, a specific hook by the door for exactly the coat you wear on evenings like this one. Small, quiet claims on a space that was never legally yours, but has become, through simple repetition and care, entirely yours in every way that matters.
There is a kind of alone that aches, you know this, and there is a kind of alone that simply rests, fully, completely, without needing anyone else's presence to feel whole. Tonight is the second kind. Tonight, your own quiet company is entirely enough. You've learned over the years to tell the difference between the two kinds fairly easily by now. The aching kind usually announces itself early, a restlessness, a reaching for your phone, a low hum of wanting someone, anyone to fill the quiet with something other than your own thoughts. This isn't that. Tonight, the quiet feels less like an absence and more like a room finally emptied of everything that wasn't truly necessary, leaving only what actually matters. You think, sometimes, about how rarely you get evenings with absolutely nothing required of you, no messages to answer, no expectations to meet, no one's mood to read or manage alongside your own. Tonight is entirely, completely that. Just you, deciding for yourself, moment by moment, exactly how you'd like this evening to unfold. The kettle begins to sing softly on the fire's edge, and you pour yourself something warm, tea, simple and plain, exactly what you always make on nights like this one. You wrap both hands around the cup, feeling its warmth settle into your fingers, and take a slow sip. It tastes like solitude chosen freely, rather than solitude imposed. It tastes like an evening with absolutely nothing required of you, no performance, no explanation, simply your own honest presence, exactly as it is tonight. You've come to think of these solitary evenings as a kind of quiet maintenance, not an escape from your life exactly, but a necessary pause within it, the way a well-used tool occasionally needs setting down and cleaning before it can be picked back up and trusted again. You don't come here every week or even every month, just often enough to remember what your own unhurried company actually feels like underneath everything else that usually fills your days. Each time you leave, you notice the same small shift in yourself, steadier, a little more settled, better able to hold the noise of ordinary life without feeling quite so worn down by it. The cabin doesn't fix anything exactly, it simply gives you enough quiet to remember you were never actually broken to begin with. Outside, the storm continues its slow build, rain falling steadily now, thunder rolling every few minutes, each roll a little different from the last, sometimes closer, sometimes further, the whole sky working through its own unhurried process, exactly the way it always does, exactly the way it always will, whether or not anyone is out here to witness it. If you like, you can count along, the way solitary cabin dwellers have always done whenever the sky lights up. There, did you see it? A soft flash beyond the window, brightening the dark room for just a moment, throwing brief, moving shadows across the simple wooden walls. Now count, slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 seconds, and the thunder arrives, low and rolling, taking its unhurried time to cross the whole dark sky above you. There's a particular kind of comfort in being entirely responsible for your own comfort tonight, building your own fire, pouring your own tea, deciding entirely for yourself when to eat, when to rest, when to simply sit and watch the flames without any other agenda at all. No one's schedule but your own, no one's needs but your own, just this small, complete room and the whole rest of the night stretching out ahead of you, yours alone to fill however you please. You've never needed much to fill an evening like this one. A book you may or may not actually read, a few slow rounds of solitaire, the cards worn soft and familiar in your hands, or simply the fire itself, watched without any particular purpose, the small, endlessly shifting shapes of the flame, enough entertainment on their own for as long as you care to watch them. The lantern on the table flickers gently, its small flames steady despite the storm building outside, casting soft, moving shadows across the simple wooden walls. You've always found lantern light more forgiving than electric light somehow, warmer, slower, better suited for an evening with nowhere urgent to be. Beyond the window, though you can't see them, you know the hills are far from truly empty tonight. An owl will already be settling into its usual hunting rounds, unbothered by the rain. Somewhere in the undergrowth, small creatures move quietly between shelters, each one finding its own particular way of weathering the storm, the way they always do, the way they always have, long before this cabin ever stood here, and long after you've gone, storm after storm, season after season. You don't need to see any of it to feel it, somehow. The wide, quiet aliveness of the hills, continuing their own patient existence all around your small lit window.
You are alone in this room tonight, but never truly alone in the larger sense, held within a whole living landscape that simply continues steadily, regardless of who is or isn't watching. There is something quietly good in that thought. Solitude out here was never really about being cut off from everything else. It's simply about stepping back far enough to notice how much continues, gently, without needing your attention at all. You think sometimes about how many quiet, unseen lives are unfolding across these hills on any given night, storm or no storm. Foxes moving between hedgerows, badgers emerging cautiously from their sets, a whole hidden world of activity that has nothing at all to do with you and never needed to. There is something humbling and reassuring both in that thought. The world does not require your attention to keep functioning beautifully. It simply continues, patient and complete, whether you're watching or resting. Perhaps that's part of what draws you back here, evening after solitary evening. Not escape exactly, but perspective. A reminder that you are one small, welcome part of something much larger, rather than the center it all somehow depends on, and that this too is a kind of rest. You blow out the lantern eventually, letting the firelight alone fill the room, the darkness deepening comfortably around its edges. There is nothing frightening in this darkness. It is simply the natural, complete dark of a small room at night in the hills, holding you exactly as gently as the light did a moment ago. Darkness, you've learned out here, is not the absence of safety. It is simply the absence of unnecessary light. And once your eyes adjust, once your whole body settles into it, it becomes its own kind of comfort, soft and enveloping, asking nothing of you at all. You remember the first few times you stayed here alone, how the darkness felt unfamiliar, almost effortful, your eyes straining slightly against instincts built for well-lit rooms and city evenings. But darkness, like anything else, rewards patience. By your second or third night, you found yourself moving through the cabin easily, even without the lantern lit, your body simply knowing, by feel and memory, exactly where everything waited. There is something almost meditative in that kind of trust, letting your other senses take over where sight steps back, listening more closely to the rain, feeling more clearly the texture of the wooden floor beneath your feet, noticing the particular warmth radiating from the fire even before you can properly see its glow. Darkness, done deliberately, teaches you to notice differently rather than simply noticing less. Tonight, the dark holds you the same easy way it always does out here, complete, familiar, entirely without threat, simply the natural close of a day well spent, alone, exactly as you chose it to be. A narrow ladder in the corner leads up to a small sleeping loft, tucked just beneath the cabin's low roof, where the sound of the rain is closest and, you've always found, most soothing of all. If you like, imagine climbing it now, slowly, one hand finding the familiar rungs easily, even in the dark. At the top, the loft is small and warm, just tall enough to sit up in, with a single small window looking out over the dark, rain-soaked hills. The bed here is simple, but deep, piled with blankets you know exactly how to arrange after so many nights spent exactly here. You climb in slowly and pull the blankets up around you, settling into the particular comfort of a bed that asks nothing of you, in a room with no one else's needs to consider, on a night with absolutely nowhere else you're required to be. Above you, close now, The rain drums steadily against the roof, heavy and full, and entirely unbothered by anything at all. Exactly the sound that has carried you to sleep on countless other solitary nights before this one. Through the small window, you can just make out the shapes of the hills beyond, dark against a slightly less dark sky, rain falling in long silver streaks wherever a little light catches it. Somewhere beyond them, thunder continues its slow, rolling journey across the whole wide sky. Here and there, where the clouds thin briefly, a single star manages to show itself for a moment before disappearing again behind the next heavy bank of cloud. You watch for it patiently, unhurried, the way you watch most things out here, not needing it to stay, simply appreciating the brief, unexpected gift of it when it appears.
There is something fitting in that small, intermittent light, not constant, not guaranteed, but reliably present nonetheless, showing itself exactly when the sky allows, asking nothing more of you than a little patient attention whenever it chooses to appear. Let your own breathing find that same slow, unhurried rhythm. In as the thunder arrives, out as it fades, in as it arrives, out as it fades. Perhaps solitude has felt heavy for you before on certain nights, in certain seasons of your life. If so, know this: the alone you're resting in tonight is not that alone. This is chosen. This is restful. This is simply you, complete and entirely enough, exactly as you are, without needing anyone else's presence to prove it. A little while later, another low roll of thunder reaches you, and you find yourself counting again, slower this time, more from habit than need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, further away now. The storm, unhurried as ever, continues its own slow drift across the hills, spreading its rain evenly, taking exactly as long as it needs to. There is no one here tonight to ask if you're all right, and you are, entirely, without needing to answer to anyone about it. There is no one here to fill the silence with conversation you don't have the energy for tonight, and the silence itself is exactly what you came here for. You think briefly of the difference between this evening and countless others spent surrounded by people, conversation, small obligations you barely notice carrying until a night like this one finally sets them down. There is nothing wrong with those evenings, but there is something particularly restorative about this one. Proof, gathered quietly over the years, that you know exactly how to care for yourself when no one else is there to do it for you. You've never needed to explain this particular need to anyone who hasn't felt it themselves. The pull towards solitude, real solitude, chosen and complete, isn't loneliness dressed up as preference. It's simply a different, equally valid way of being fully, comfortably yourself. There's a particular kind of self-trust that only ever seems to develop out here, alone, with no one else's reactions to check your own feelings against. You've learned, slowly, over many solitary evenings just like this one, to simply notice what you feel, without immediately needing to explain or justify it to anyone. Tired, you're allowed to simply rest. Quiet, you're allowed to simply stay quiet. Content, you're allowed to simply enjoy it, without needing anyone else to confirm that the contentment is real or reasonable. It's a small thing, perhaps, but it compounds over time.
evening after solitary evening, slowly building a kind of quiet confidence in your own read of yourself, independent of anyone else's opinion or presence. You bring that confidence back with you each time into the busier, more crowded parts of your life, a little steadier for having practiced out here, simply trusting your own company completely. Tomorrow, or the day after, you'll make your way back down the dark hillside, back to the paved road, back to everyone and everything waiting there, and you'll carry a little of tonight with you when you go, not as an escape you're returning from, but as a reminder, quietly held, that you know exactly how to be good company for yourself whenever you next need reminding. Tonight, though, none of that matters yet. Tonight is simply this small, dark cabin, this steady rain, this complete and restful solitude, entirely yours for exactly as long as you'd like it to last. Rest is not something you earn. It's already yours. It was always yours. It will be waiting for you again the next time you need it, and the time after that, and every time after that. Your body feels heavy now, sinking into the soft blankets, the steady drum of rain on the roof, blending with the slow, occasional roll of thunder, further away now with each passing minute. There is nothing more you need to hear, there is nothing more you need to imagine. I will stay here with you a while longer, speaking softly so you do not need to listen closely anymore. Just let my voice fade into the rhythm of the rain, like thunder fades into distance, like everything else in this small, dark cabin that exists simply to hold you exactly as you are through the night. Slowly, gradually, the storm begins to ease, not stopping, not yet, but softening, the steady rain settling into something gentler, more unhurried than before. The thunder, too, grows further and further between each roll, its sound now barely more than a distant murmur, rolling somewhere far beyond the hills, carrying its rain towards some other quiet place entirely. Downstairs, the fire has burned low, glowing a deep, steady orange in the dark, giving off just enough warmth to keep the whole cabin comfortable until morning. The lantern rests unlit on the table, patient, waiting for whenever you next choose to light it. The whole small room sits in its own complete, comfortable dark, holding nothing but quiet. If your thoughts drift now, let them drift slowly, the way the rain drifts down the dark hillside outside, unhurried, finding its own easy path. If your thoughts settle on something, let them settle softly, without needing to be examined or resolved or shared with anyone at all tonight. You do not need to hold on to anything tonight. You do not need to let go of anything either. You may simply rest exactly as you are, exactly where you are, held by walls that ask nothing of you, in a solitude that asks nothing of you either, complete and restful and entirely your own. The fire settles into soft embers downstairs. The rain continues its steady, generous fall across the dark hills. The old tools left behind by whoever built this place rest quietly on their shelf, patient as they've always been. The single faded photograph stays tucked in its drawer, its story still unknown, still entirely unnecessary to know. The whole cabin, small and simple and entirely without company tonight, has settled into its own deep, unhurried calm. And so, at last, have you. In, out. In, out. A long pause. Somewhere behind you now, back down the dark hillside, The narrow track still winds through the old wide-spaced trees, exactly as it did when you first found your way along it, patient, unmarked, waiting for the next evening you need exactly this kind of solitude. The cabin door, unlocked as it always is, will be there again too, whenever you next need it. Lantern and hearth and simple wooden walls, exactly where you left them. The night bird that called once from the trees has long since settled into its own quiet roost. The rain continues its slow, patient fall across the whole dark hillside, finding the same familiar paths down through the canopy it always finds, storm after storm after storm. The old tools on the shelf, the single faded photograph, the chair angled just right for morning light, all of it waits, unchanged, unhurried, exactly as you left it, for exactly as long as it takes you to need it again. There is no one waiting for you to return sooner than you're ready, no one keeping count of how many nights you spend here alone. Only the hills and the rain, and this small, dark, endlessly patient cabin, ready to hold you exactly this gently, any night you need it, for as many nights as you ever need it. Rest is not something you earn, it's already yours. The rain remembers this roof, the dark remembers this quiet, the whole cabin remembers every solitary night that came before this one, each one adding its own small, steady layer to years of exactly this kind of chosen, restful solitude. And you may finally rest, completely, the way this whole quiet cabin rests every solitary night, whether or not anyone is there to notice. Good night.